Hello and welcome to Prudent IAS, one-stop solution for all the competitive exams. Today we'll be doing a very important discussion from GS Paper 2 Polity perspective. I'll be telling about all the major amendments, their key provisions and the relevance for UPSC. So this will be your one stop where you can know about all the amendments. I'll present in a table-like structure. You can even take the screenshots for future revisions. At the end of discussion, I'll be presenting 2 to 3 questions where I'll tell how this data can be used while writing the answers. Let's quickly begin. In the similar form, you can also make your notes or just take a screenshot. Here I have written all the parameters, amendment, the year, key provision, if there are any linked Supreme Court cases, because we will have to establish linkages for better recalling. And the importance for UPSC, why we have included these amendments. See, a number of amendments you must have a hold on, but these are those amendments which cannot be skipped. So the first amendment, the year was 1951. It did 3 major things. First, it added the 9th schedule. Second, it introduced reasonable restrictions on freedom of speech, Article 19. And third, it protected the land reforms. So this is an answer writing series. I'll be quickly pointing out the key provisions. In the detailed videos, I'll be telling what each means. It can be linked with the Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. So when you will be reading this case, then you must know about the First Amendment and vice versa. What is the importance for UPSC? Foundation of Parliament's power to amend the fundamental rights. It is often asked in the exams. 7th Amendment. It was brought in the year 1956. Reorganization of states, abolished Part B states. It was based on Fazal Ali Commission. So all the facts are mentioned here. With the amendment, the major provisions for example, it abolished the Part B states and it was based on the Fazal Ali Commission, which is helpful for GS1 as well, because in the post-independence consolidation, you can even quote this. 24th Amendment, year 1971. Yes, years is also very important. If you will mention the year, then it will enrich the quality of your answer. It made it clear that Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights. So it gave a very important amending power to the Parliament. The case here is Golaknath versus State of Punjab, 1967. It challenged this amendment, and in the Keswanand Bharti versus State of Kerala, 1973, this upheld it but brought in the basic structure doctrine. So we are discussing in a manner like this was the amendment, this was the provision, but it was challenged in this particular case, and later the result was reverted in the Keswanand Bharti case, where it upheld that yes, Parliament can amend, but it must not impact the basic structure of the Constitution. It is very crucial for understanding the Parliament versus judiciary power struggle. So often you have seen judiciary strucks down some law, Parliament brings in some amendments, so this process goes on. In that continuation, you will have to read it from a very conceptual point of view. 25th Amendment, 1961, same year, 1971, sorry. Article 31C. It gave primacy to certain DPSPs over fundamental rights. Now, this was very specific. Why? Because it altered only the Article 31C and it was affecting the fundamental rights 14 and 19. In the Keswanand Bharti case, 1973, this is struck down a part of this amendment, and in the Minerva Mills case, which was in 1980, it further limited the use of Article 31C. So this was an amendment brought in to broaden the powers of the Parliament, that they can even amend the fundamental right 14 and 19 for giving effect to Article 31C, under 31C, but the court struck down certain parts of it, and in the Minerva Mill case it also limited. So a tussle can be seen between the Parliament and the Supreme Court. It tests the limits of DPSPs versus the fundamental rights. So a tussle is going on that whom to give primacy, fundamental rights or the DPSPs. Coming to the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Very important. Why? Because it is often termed as the mini constitution. This added the word socialist, secular and integrity to the preamble. This was the only amendment in the preamble. reduced the power of judiciary. It made DPSPs enforceable over fundamental rights. So whenever we recall 42nd Amendment Act, we usually restrict ourselves to this particular amendment of the preamble, but it even reduced the power of judiciary. It made the DPSPs enforceable over fundamental rights. That is, Article 31C was extended to all the fundamental. Earlier it was 14 and 19, but here by the 42nd Amendment it was made over all the fundamental rights. The scope was extended. In Keswanand Bharti case, the basic structure doctrine which protected the core elements, and in the Minerva Mills case it struck down the excessive provision. So how can we read this? Before this, Keswanand Bharti case happened in 1973 and it brought in the basic structure doctrine, on the basis of which in Minerva Mills case excessive provisions were struck down. Again, a tussle between the parliament and judiciary. It is a must know for GS2 because it shows the reach and limits of the parliamentary power. Then comes the 44th Amendment Act in 1978. It removed the right to property from the fundamental right, extremely important, and added it under Article 300A. So it was removed from the fundamental right and made a constitutional right only. Restored the safeguards for civil liberties, Article 20-21, made President bound by the cabinet advice. So this can be, both these amendments can be read in the context of 1975 emergency. If you will know about the emergency, then you will realize some provisions were altered because of the 44th Amendment Act when the government changed, and this particular decision, that is, it made the president bound by the cabinet advice. It was a written advice. So it corrected the emergency excesses and reflects the evolution of the fundamental rights. So what it did, firstly, the major change was brought in the fundamental rights. Secondly, under the emergency in 1975, some excesses were conducted by the government. Then it was reverted. 52nd Amendment, 1985. Extremely important. We even made a video separately on this anti-defection law. It introduced the anti-defection law 10th schedule. Kyoto Holan case is important in this context. It upheld the speaker's power within the limits. It is vital for GS2, parliament, political parties, electoral reforms, and a number of sections. So same amendment can be used while writing answers across all these dimensions. Next up is the 61st Amendment Act. Year was 1989. It reduced the voting age from 21 to 18 years. While discussing about the Election Commission of India, we had referred to this article, that how by reducing the age, the voters increased, and then there were some changes in the composition of Election Commission of India. The manpower was increased. That is, now it is a 3-member body. It is relevant for polity as well as for society. That is, youth participation in the democracy. By lowering the age, more voters can now vote. 73rd Amendment 1992 and 74th Amendment 1992. These two can be studied together. Why? Because it gave the constitutional status to Panchayat, introduced the 11th schedule, 29 subjects, Article 243. All the facts in just one video. Gave the constitutional status to Panchayat, schedule, and the article, and even the number of subjects are written here. Now, we can read it along with State of UP versus Pradhan Sangh Kshetra 1995, which confirmed this autonomy. So, while reading Supreme Court cases, it's important to note 2 points. What all cases struck down the provisions and what all cases upheld the certain amendments. I have tried to include both. So, in this case, Pradhan Sangh Kshetra case is important. GS2 core topic, of course, under directly local governments, this will be written. Any question about Panchayat, you will have to start rightly from the 73rd Amendment 1992. 74th Amendment 1992, it gave the constitutional status to municipalities and introduced 12th schedule, 18 functions and urban governance framework. So these two are more or less similar. The difference being Panchayats here, municipalities 11th schedule here, 12th schedule, and the subjects 29 here and 18 here. It is always paired with 73rd as already mentioned, and must know for federalism and local bodies, for grassroots level democracy, for federalism, for local body, for cooperative federalism. A number of parameters can be answered through this. 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, year was 2002. It made right to education a fundamental right under Article 21A. Extremely important because NEP was brought in and UPSC can ask any question on education anytime and this will be helpful. So it modified the DPSP's Article 45. Unni Krishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh laid the foundation. We'll read 86th in context with the case. Important for GS2, that is social justice, and GS1 education issues. 91st Amendment Act, year brought in 2003. It restricted the size of Council of Ministers and strengthened the anti-defection law. Two major provisions. A number of judgments were given, but we are focusing mainly on the key provisions which will be helpful in understanding the political reform angle, often which is asked in the polity test papers. Next, 101st Amendment Act. Now, if you are reading 91st Amendment Act, that is strengthen the anti-defection law, immediately you will refer back to the 52nd Amendment Act as well, right? So always link the amendments, link the context. Coming to the 101st Amendment Act 2016, introduced GST, amended multiple entries in the 7th schedule. Mohit Mineral versus Union of India 2002, it upheld the GST on the ocean freight. So this upheld GST. Fiscal federalism topic in GS3 and as well as the current relevance. Very important. 103rd Amendment Act 2019. Now these are the recent ones, so you must have a hold on these. It introduced a 10% EWS quota in education and jobs. Article 15C and clause 16C were added. So not just knowing about 15 and 16 article, but it's important to note about all the clauses in detail, specifically for article 14 to 51. Whenever there are any clauses, please note down all them. Janhit Abhiyan versus Union of India 2022, it upheld the EWS quota. So as I mentioned, this was the amendment brought in by the parliament. In the previous slides, we have seen that usually the court was striking down the laws, striking down the amendments. But here we are seeing that court is usually upholding the laws. Like here, this quota was upheld in the Janhit Abhiyan versus Union of India. It is very relevant for mains GS2 under affirmative action and reservation. 104th Amendment 2020, it removed the Anglo-Indian reservation in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Now see, if you are referring to the old Lakshmikant, please make sure to update it. The 104th Amendment say now Anglo-Indian reservation is ended. It is a recent one and easy to ask in prelims as well as mains. Now, let's quickly look at some questions and how the data which I shared in the previous slides can be incorporated while writing the answers. So first up is examine the significance of the basic structure doctrine in protecting the constitution from arbitrary amendments. Wherever we'll use the amendments, first we'll mention 24th, 25th, 42nd amendments and how the Supreme Court in Keswanandan Bharti case balanced the parliament's power with the constitutional supremacy. So what you will do, 24th, 25th and 42nd were majorly about the parliament's power. Parliament's power was broadening. And right in the Keswanandan Bharti case, the court brought in the basic structure doctrine which balanced this power with the constitutional supremacy. So it's very important to substantiate your argument with the articles. Then what you will do, you will discuss the Minerva Mills case 1980 as the reinforcing doctrine. Okay. Explain how these prevent misuse of the amending power. So on these lines, an answer can be written following the intro body conclusion format. You can quote all the articles, highlight them, quote the Supreme Court judgment, and then theoretically in precise words, you can even explain that they are preventing the misuse of the amendment power. Next is discuss the impact of 42nd and 44th constitutional amendment on the balance of power between Parliament and judiciary. Now where we are going to use, explain how 42nd tried to curb judiciary's power and impose greater control on the fundamental rights. So we'll mention about the tussle between the parliamentary power and judiciary's power. Then we'll discuss how 44th amendment reversed these changes post the emergency, restoring the judiciary's independence. So as I mentioned, first you will understand about the 1975 emergency. Then you will write about 42nd Amendment, that how the Parliament powers were increasing, and 44th Amendment, which restored the judiciary's independence. Refer Keswanand Bharti case and the Minerva Mill case as the relevant case laws. So it's very handy if you have a couple of cases in mind. You can use these in multiple answers. Next is the Constitution of India is a living document discussed with reference to the key amendments and judicial interpretation. Now, where we are going to use the facts? First, we'll provide the examples from multiple amendments like 1st, 24th, 42nd, 44th, 73rd, 86th, showing the evolution that the Constitution is a living document. Why? Because there are multiple amendments still carried out. And the question specifically mentions with reference to the key amendments. So, if you do not know about these amendments, you will not fetch good marks. Then use the landmark cases like Keswanand Bharti case. See the repetition of the cases. Minerva Mill case, Unni Krishnan case to highlight the judicial role in interpretation. Now, what was the purpose here? If you will have, hold on, let's say just 5 cases and all these amendments, trust me, you will be using these in a number of parameters and dimensions throughout all the GS papers, be it society, be it polity, be it governance. Coming to the next one, discuss the evolution of the right to education in India with reference to the constitutional amendments and landmark judgments. Again, the question is mentioning about the amendments and judgments. Now, where we are going to use it? First, we'll refer to the 86th Amendment that added the Article 21A. Then we'll link it with the Unni Krishnan case 1993, which interpreted the right to education as a part of Article 21 and explained the social significance. So, the factual part is covered throughout all the tables. And we'll just write a precise point about the significance. Even if the question is not explicitly mentioning the amendments and landmark judgments and a theoretical or analytical question is asked, then too you will write all these facts to enrich your introductions and body. So, this is it for today. I hope you got some clarity about the major amendments and you have a ready document about the amendments which can be used while writing the answers. Till then, just subscribe our channel Prudent IAS on YouTube and join a Telegram group Answer Writing by Prudent IAS, where I have shared some of these questions in a day advance and I'll be sharing more questions for the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.